something we heard from David Axelrod on our show yesterday morning when Axelrod said it took them almost an hour to get to any real substance in that debate. Barack Obama talked about that as well.
It took us 45 minutes before we even started talking about a single issue that matters to the American people. 45 minutes before we heard about health care, 45 minutes before we heard about Iraq, 45 minutes before we heard about jobs, 45 minutes before we heard about gas prices.
Okay,
I think that's a good point.
I don't.
I do.
You know why I don't think it's a good point?
Why don't you think it's a good point?
Because I know voters, and I know that if they want to do a 15-minute conversation about health care, as they have in past debates, everybody falls off. I don't think it's a coincidence that the ABC debate, highest rated debate of the year. Why? Because a lot of these issues that we look at and say, oh, people can't care about it, people see as very symbolic. They're trying, and again, they're trying to, it's not a gotcha game.
Getting ratings, though, I think that there's a responsibility to look at these candidates.
When Barack Obama says the American people don't care, and when we say the American people don't care, we're wrong. They do care. They sit and listen because they think they're going to get the measure of the man or the woman. And again, a lot of this is so symbolic, but people see the talking points. They see the beautiful backdrops. They're hoping in these type of exchanges to figure out, okay, who's really inside of there. But I understand it is. I understand how you could be distressed saying, God, we're going to talk about a San Francisco fundraiser instead of insuring 48 million uninsured Americans. I'm just saying that's...
Yeah, I'm thinking there might have been a little bit too much of a focus. I don't know. I mean, this whole war of words, the bitterness versus Bosnia, quite frankly, you could go on for hours about it. They both made a mistake.
Right. And
your choice is whether you want to choose someone who perhaps fabricated or exaggerated, or someone who's an elitist. But I mean, do you have to talk about it for an hour?
Let's go back to 2000, though, in the 2000 debates. We had a lot of debates talking about health care, talking about Social Security, talking about all these different things. Would you have liked to know a little bit more about George W. Bush, the person, than George W. Bush reading policy statements over those 3 debates? Because we really didn't get a sense of what type of president George W. Bush would be in those 3 policy debates. Would you like them to dig in and ask him uncomfortable questions like, you failed as a businessman in West Texas, according to this report. Did you fail? You go, oh, that's gotcha politics. Well, no, draw George Bush out, see how he would have been in 2000, and we would have gotten more of the measure of the man over the past 8 years. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're learning.
Make them
beating this dead horse about these, you know, 2 comments, the one that each candidate made.
I'll tell you one thing we did learn, I think, and the New York Times agreed, that Barack Obama was at his weakest a couple of nights ago. He's not ramping up. You know, you kept saying, well, when's George W. Bush going to get better speaking in front of microphones? When's he going to ramp up? And Barack Obama is no better debating on his feet than he was 6, 7, 8 months ago. Now, that may not say anything about the man. He can read a teleprompter very well, and he's very good joking in his own element. But Barack Obama also has had one of the most tightly controlled campaigns as far as communication goes of any modern American presidential candidate.
Well, it's interesting. I've always felt the debate forum was definitely not a strong point, and you saw it the other night, and then you see him out with a crowd, and he is very different when he was actually laughing off the debate.
The situation.
And, you know, actually even complaining about the format of the debate and the questioning.
Yeah. Well, Bill Clinton gave his analysis.
Oh, he did?
Of the debate.
Oh, good. Yeah,
you might have expected. He's also giving his analysis of Barack Obama's so-called whining. At least that's what Bill Clinton calls
whining.
it. Listen.
When I watched that debate last night, I got kind of tickled. When the other guy, after the campaign, her opponents was, the people working were saying, oh, this is so negative, why are they doing this? Well, they've been beating up on her for 15 months. I didn't hear her whining when he said she was untruthful in Iowa. I called her the senator from Punjab. And you know, they said some pretty rough things about me, too. But, you know, this is a contact sport. If you don't want to play, keep your uniform off.